Up next, we're talking upholstery, fabrics, wallpapers as well. So you definitely will be interested in this conversation. So if you have any questions, any messages that you would like us to ask guests, you send that to 0204-447-033, 0204-447-033. But before I introduce our guest to you, there's some messages that have already been sent in. It says, good morning to you all. Concerning the EC padlocks, my question is, what if a party agent misplaces the key when it's time to open the vault for onward distribution of the election materials? From Fifi in Abakrampa. I'll ask Jude, he was the one on tour. I'm sure he asked that question. And another one here, it's a birthday message. Happy birthday to you, Katharina Bete. May God bless you and grow in wisdom, from your uncle Cujo, your mom and dad, and the entire family. We love you, they say. Jude, what did the EC say about padlocks and keys getting missing?
I don't think Benjamin Bano Bio, who is the EC Director for Electoral Services, touched on that.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess once they have your consent to open the vault to pick election materials, if you don't have the keys, they'll break the padlock. So it's not even a major issue.
Right.
You know, people, I think the issue with that is, in the report, we said it was heavily secured and they only saw padlocks, right? But the point has to be made that there were armed policemen and even military men. So LOC, from the entrance of the printing houses, right? So for example, our back press where we went to, you know, the security men the company procured have been relegated to the back somewhere. And it's military who are guarding the entrance. You have to go through like 3 different scanners
before you get to the entrance.
And you have to go to like another 2 or 3 checkpoints before you get to the vote room. So it's like, you know, so the heavily secured is not only for the padlocks that is closed, but also the entirety of the
padlocked door.
I'm telling you.
All right. So in studio with us to discuss upholstery fabrics, wallpapers. So choosing upholstery fabrics, a guide to wallpapers, is Selom the Dream Maker. She's an interior designer and project manager and founder of Acento Projects Limited. Selom, it's great to have you again.
It's good to have you once again.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well. How has your week been? That sigh of yours.
Nah, me there, you ask me if I'm fine. What kind of mother side, father side? This one is only mother side. But I'm fine, you know, I'm fine. I'm thriving.
Are you a butcher boy?
Unfortunately, no.
Thank you.
But he mentions them every Saturday.
Fortunately, no.
But they are red and black.
No, but you know, congratulations to the team, actually. Congratulations to the team.
Was a Karaka? I don't think I ever heard you mention, because I know that if you advance, you Jude Duncan sitting there.
We went to
okay, so you are from that school?
He went to
that school.
From the school.
Okay,
from the school.
I like that.
Videri.
Oh, my friend.
To be and not to see.
Somewhere. Let the butcher boys have their fun.
We'll give it to them. We'll give it to them. Fair play.
Have you guys ever advanced? I don't think I've ever heard a cracker advance.
Oh, we are almost always semi-finalists in the national science and maths. The final. We go some chair. It could be at your boom. But you know, we're a business school. I always try to make that point. You know, we're a business
science school.
We're a science school as well, but not
known for your science.
Yeah, you know. So
So let's talk business.
It's okay.
So let's talk about upholstery. What's upholstery? It sounds like such a big, vast thing.
Kind of. It is, yes. In our industry, or in what I do as a designer, upholstery is quite such a broad topic, let me put it that way. This usually entails all heavy and solid materials, right, or fabrics that are mostly used for soft furnishings in any space. So you are likely going to find upholstery in what they use to cover furniture. Right, so the sofa, armchairs, all these chairs, whatever is used to cover them, are actually counted as upholstery. In other sense, upholstery also could include soft furnishings in curtains, right? soft, all the finished materials you see in the carpets, in the rugs, in wallpapers, right? Everything that has to do with fabrics in the space. So pillows, rugs, curtains, right? These are all counted as upholstery mostly as a designer in our part, in our enclave. You get it? And they play such a huge role that a lot of people tend to, do I say ignore or not pay attention to. You get it? Most of the time what I see is people just make random selections based on what their eyes are telling them. So they go to the market, I like this fabric, let me bring it in. I like that rug, let me bring it in. I like that sofa, you get it? At the end of the day, you finish and you realize, okay, you've bought everything that is needed for the space, but
they're not matching, they're not in sync.
Exactly, things are not working out,
Yeah.
things are not working out. Sometimes you finish putting the whole space together, you bought furniture, you bought carpets, you bought tables, you bought everything, and the space still looks quiet, blunt, and empty. You get it? I don't know if you've had that kind of feeling before. In most cases, you see, the upholstery, which ends up having patterns and textures in them. So the upholstery is usually, the textures and the patterns on them are what make them stand out, right? What makes them stand out. And they are known as what we call visual weight. Okay, they add some amount of weight to the space visually, right? So you want to add some weight to the space to help you cover some amount of the space, but not physically, but in your mind's eye. So that is how come you sometimes enter a space and you feel like the place is looking too heavy. Do you get it? The space is looking too heavy. It's not because there's too many furniture or items in the space, but probably because of the patterns you see in the space, because of the kind of wallpaper they've used, or maybe because of the flooring, the patterns on the floor, the texture on the walls, right? They are adding so much weight to the space. So you end up feeling, you fill the whole space and then you realize, oh, it's still looking empty for me. It's either you are lacking some amount of texture or pattern, or you've overdone it.
So if I get you correctly, so the texture and pattern you talk about goes to the core of aesthetics, right?
Yes.
To make the place look pleasing enough.
Exactly.
To suit your comfort.
Exactly.
Wow. The question then would be something I ask a lot of people when they come on the show. Between aesthetics and functionality, right? You know, so maybe you bought your carpet. It's a carpet you need so that your place won't get dirty, right? As against how pleasing it looks, which one should come first?
This is a tough question, or a tricky one, maybe I would say. At the end of the day, you see, designing, yes, to most people is only aesthetics. But at the end of the day, you should also be able to put together a room that is able to function. Right? So maybe I would say you should be able to balance the two. It's of no use if you finish decorating your living room and there are so many things you can't even use. Do you get it? Yeah. There's so many things you can't use. You can't walk comfortably because something is blocking something. You can't move about. You touch this and this is just fake. You touch that, you see. At the end of the day, you put together only a decorative space, but not functional.
Right.
So function over aesthetics.
In most cases, for me, I prioritize functionality, and then aesthetics should follow. So whatever it is I'm doing, it should be functional but pleasing as well.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. So functional but pleasing.
For me.
So that's how the equation should go. Interesting.
All right. So the upholstery and the wallpaper, is there a slight difference?
No, so wallpaper is a form of upholstery.
Okay.
Right? A wallpaper is a form of fabric. So part of some of the fabrics, upholstery can be used in almost like I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
All the fabrics you are seeing in the space, this is upholstery.
Okay.
The rug is upholstery. Do you get it? Wallpaper is another form of introducing fabric into the space. So these are all adding texture and patterns one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we mix the two?
Yes, you can. You can. So in a space you can have, I mean, fabrics on the floor. You can have pillows in the space in the sofa that are all giving you some form of texture or pattern one way or the other. The challenge then has to be with how you select them and how well you're able to balance them.
Right.
Yes, because you can't have a room that's has wallpapers that is speaking something. The rag on the floor is speaking another thing. Sometimes, I mean, one thing most people also ignore is the towel on the floor or whatever is covering the floor, right? It's also speaking something. Do you get it? At the end of the day, sometimes your goal would be to highlight one particular something. In designing, we have what we call a focal point, right? That's one thing in the space that is drawing almost everybody's attention. So if your floor is heavily patterned, it's going to be very difficult for you to introduce other things that are already detailed. Do you get it? You can bring it in, but the floor is already so heavy that nothing else is getting attention. Everything else is not being seen, right? So you want to be able to balance this well such that this is giving its own vibe. This is also adding something to it. This is also right. So the wallpaper, yes, you can bring all of them together, but just ensure that you pick the right patterns. That would easily make the room feel cohesive and not too loud or too busy. Unless, again, like I mentioned, in my business, in our profession, you are dealing with the client's satisfaction. Unless, I mean, that is what makes them satisfied.
You know, I once went into a space where they had like black tiles. And, you know, the curtains was like orange or something, or some way. But that's interesting. My question then to you would be how to decide on which to use and where, because for some people in decorating their private spaces, they might want to use like these really fancy wallpapers, right? Some people want to use them outside, right? But I'm not sure against the practicality aspect of it. So just walk us through, are there some forms of upholstery that are meant for only indoor use, whereas others also meant for outdoor, in a sunshade, in sunlight, I mean exposure to sunlight and the possible issues that might come with it?
Okay, so I think that brings us to the materials or what actually some of these upholstery are made up of. Yes, that would help determine if this can be used outdoor or indoors. Most of the time you have, I mean, wallpapers made up of fiber or fabrics, right? If you see what I've had on the table here, this is a typical example of wallpaper. This is a wall carving that is made out of fabric.
I thought it was material that I was saying, let me go to sew some kaftan and wear. Hey, send a wallpaper.
This is a typical example, right? This is actually made with, do you get it? So this makes it water resistant, stain resistant. You can actually clean it. And there are wallpapers, that is what most people know. The paper ones.
See, right. Relax. I'm not joking, no. I was coming to tell you actually, I need some 3 yards. So. Shit.
Oh, this is
send
nice.
a wallpaper.
So,
wow, incredible.
Because the wallpaper I've seen,
it's paper.
It's paper.
Yes, most of the time. So that is what would help you determine whether this can be used outdoors or not, right? If it's made of paper, it's obviously saying you can't put it outside because of water, rain.
Outside?
This because of the fabric. This can be cleaned actually. If it's dirty, you can just dry wash it, which means it's water resistant, right? Which
but
means
if it rains and in the rainy season, then it's not a good use, right?
Yes,
it's
you can put it. So maybe even for outdoors, there are some places you might want to. I don't know which part of your outside you want to put it. Probably on your balcony, on your porch, or wherever, right? But I don't know which particular place outdoor you want to put it. You don't want to put it where it's going to be
so exposed.
Yes, to rain and all that. Anyway, so the fabric or the make of the wall covering is what can determine whether you can use it outside or not. The paper versions obviously are mostly for indoors, right? Are obviously mostly for indoors, and they are very, very delicate most of the time. They are very delicate and exposed to wear and tear from time to time. So you'd want to first, determine if it can withstand that. Then fine, you can go ahead and use it.
Oh. I realized in all of your conversation, you limited it to like public residential spaces, but a very private space for a lot of people will be their cars, right? You sit in somebody's car and the car seats, So that somebody is me. I am somebody. Somebody is me.
Okay, so what is your car seat? What has your car seat done?
You know, I don't drive a flashy new car, right?
Nobody cares.
So my car is quite old. So what it means is that there are some stains, you know, that are difficult to go. My yes, I have car. So it means that I'll have to change my car seat. My question to you then is, can some of these things be used, or there are materials specifically for car seats and upholstery work in the car?
No. So sometimes, I mean, when you are choosing fabrics, right, for whatever purpose, some of the things you want to consider is, I mean, the use of the space. Wherever you're putting it, be it your car or your home or your restaurant or wherever, so that you can determine, is it a public space? Is it going to be a space that has high traffic? So many people are going to be getting in and out of the space, so that, because if you are putting this on your car seats, I mean, is your car an Uber or is just you all the time driving? Do you get it? How often do you pick people? So you can easily determine whether this thing can actually go along well, right? If it's just you and you can easily maintain it, that's fine, fair enough. But then also, even if you still want to go for it, because your car, you're always picking people. You always have people in your car. You want to also consider the color.
True.
You also want to consider the color instead of going for something entirely white, unless you can maintain it. Yes,
I can maintain it. White is my favorite color.
Fair enough. That is what I always want to find out from my client. We are going for something white. Is this something you can maintain? If you are cool with it, then let's go for it. Unless you can't, then let's stay away from it so you don't end up.
You know, I'm not sure if you're a car dealer, right? But you know, a lot of the time when people are selling cars, the car could be of the same model and make, but the one with a leather seat as against a cloth seat, or however they call it, right? You know, there are certain priorities placed on either or one of them. Why is this so, and why is one more sought after than the other?
Again, fabrics, right, mostly also have their own way of depicting style, right? In our profession, anything that has to do with leather is known to be one to depict classic. Something that is classic, right? Leather is also known to actually go a long way, right? Most of the time, unless it is fake or whatever, leather is known to be very expensive, right? Pure leather is known to be very expensive, and they depict some amount of elegance, right? So you use leather in a space. If you notice, almost all the traditional decor, when I say traditional, all those decor you used to see back then, sometimes some years back, are usually made of fine leather. Fine leather. If it used to be then, because those were some of the expensive upholstery you find. Even now, right, it is known to be also very classic because it can withstand. It can go a long way. You can use it over and over and over and over for a long time, right? It gives that kind of style, that kind of, I mean, luxury. That's why even in the car business, they also, I mean, place a lot of priority over leather. Leather is known to be very luxurious. That is the issue. Leather is known to be very luxurious as well. These are known to be, anything that's made of fabric mostly is depicting contemporary styles, contemporary decor, things that are coming up now and then.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yeah. Wow.
What are some of the things we should consider when, you know, you're designing a space or choosing fabric or upholstery or wallpaper?
Okay. So you asked the question earlier about whether you can actually have patterns in all the every aspect of the room. Yes, you can, right? But one, you also want to consider one of the first things, or principles when you are putting together all these things. You want to look at some similarities, right? You want to have patterns in the sofa. You want to have a wallpaper with some amount of pattern in it. You want to have a rag on the floor also having some amount of patterns and texture. So you try and find out some similarity, right? When I say similarity, this could be in at least the color. That is one. On two, the scale of the patterns in there. Try as much as you want to want one thing that is really standing out, and then the rest actually being more like secondary patterns. You don't want to have a situation where The patterns on the wallpaper are all bold and detailed. The one on the floor is also bold and detailed. What is in the sofa is also bold and that is one situation you want to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah, your space will start looking like a cult.
There's a question here for you, Salom. It says, kindly ask the designer which part of the house is okay to have the fabric or the wallpaper.
Okay, so if it's fabric or wallpaper, whatever material, you can have them in the kitchen. But even in the kitchen, you have to be very careful to avoid all the water zones, right? Do not place wallpapers or wall fabrics around all the places with sinks or water flowing. I'm sure there could be empty walls that do not have any water. Do you get it? So the kitchen, you just have to be careful. Same with the bathroom. You can have wallpaper in the bathroom, but you still have to actually be very careful with that. So you don't put, especially the paper versions, those ones can easily be destroyed. You can put wallpaper in your bedrooms, in the living area, in the hallways. Do you get it? At best, the goal is to bring in some interest because of the color they are bringing, or the patterns. Do you get it? Or the texture they are adding to the space. So you can put them in a bedroom, living area, study area. Yes, but just be careful, one, to avoid all the water zones.
Wow. I've learned so much from you. I'm not even going to lie. If for nothing at all, I know that this wasn't meant for kaftans.
Oh, there's a question here before I know, Jude, we have to go by. Kindly ask Salom how one can know the right amount of fabric needed for a space. I guess that's where you contact Salom.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So in talking about contacting you, just if somebody wants to reach out, because I have a message there.
Your social media platform.
So where can they find you?
Okay, so social media, Instagram or Facebook, just search Salom Dreammaker, or just call us on 020-888-2722.
888-2722.
You want to take the number again?
020-888-2722. Or just search Salom Dreammaker on social media, or Center Projects on social media.
Wow. So there you had it for yourself. Salom Dreammaker, who is the creative lead for Center Projects, also an intimate space designer. That's my personal way of calling it right here. So reach out and get it done. I mean, she'll do an amazing job for you, that we can assure. Just going by a conversation on upholstery, on deciding, right, how to use it, and all the conversations around wallpapers and the likes. We'll take a quick break. When we are back, we have more content, more exciting content for you.